Hello people of the internet, my name is Omesh and welcome to part 4. The Death and the War of Yugoslavia. Join me today in this quite tragic episode of where brotherhood and unity failed, where camaraderie was replaced with cowardness, where love, affection and comfort was replaced by fear, terror, anger and unable to be understood. Join me today on this quite tragic story. So, last time that we left off with Tito's death. Tito died, the economy went out with him during the same period of time. And I'm not saying that the economy was linked 100% with Tito. No, quite the contrary. The economy was the byproduct of their policy. And their policies was, let's be honest, quite trash. It had short term quite improved. It was far better than anything we've had historically, materialistically and all the such. It was amazing for our product. But it led to this. Now, for the quite exact reason or the pre-elements of the war and all the such, you have hundreds of videos explaining to that. You have from a very economical political perspective, and you got funny stories of Jordan Martinovic. For those who know, you're the true ones here. For those who don't, Jordan Martinovic, you should Google him, go to Wikipedia, it was hilarious to read. And if you're too lazy to read, you can go watch Hakim's video about that. Anyways, in my perspective, in my view, and everything that I've saw, the fall of, regardless of what the nation, mostly does come from the economic situation of that nation. And economically, Yugoslavia was collapsing. Regardless of what we could have done or what we would have done and all the such, Yugoslavia was falling, regardless. How it fell was almost a byproduct of barbarism. The necessity of violence, the desire to kill your neighbor, the desire to hate. And it did not come from the everyday people. It came from the ones up above. It came from the oligarchs, which filled up the seats of the political table, which filled up every part of everyday life, which corrupted the society that we all lived in. And rather than to be proposed an idea from Ante Markovic, who has been quite the successful man himself, which proposed that we could economically recover, that we could avoid bloodshed, they all declined. By all I mean Milosevic, Izetbegovic, Tudjman, and everybody in between. They all declined. The main three players, which I previously mentioned, even though they spoke of different things. Milosevic spoke about the threat of the Albanians, the Shqiptar as you would, as they are the ones that cause demoralizing effects towards the Serbian race. Tudjman wanted a greater Croatia. They used to have an empire, an ethno-state, if you will. And Bosnia's leader, Izetbegovic, pleaded that if we all went on our own ways, there would be nothing left in Bosnia other than a river of blood. With this story, you would have think that Izetbegovic would be the angel, the good guy of this story. But, again, as I previously mentioned, when they were faced with a solution, a way out of the war, a way out of killing each other, out of being totally evaporated from this earth, they all turned their heads around. They said no to peace. They said to violence we shall only go, and to certain death we will arrive. Slovenia was the first nation to escape Yugoslavia. Slovenia had a 10-day war, where they were not as economically linked and ethnically linked with the capital of Belgrade. They were left off with minor outlaws. Afterwards comes Croatia. And Croatia had a significant Serbian minority, which they themselves, again, had no say into what will happen to Yugoslavia. They had no way of voting for or against, and they were imposed with this difficult choice. Leave your house, which you lived for generations, or fight your brothers. Then afterwards comes Macedonia, which was the first republic which didn't have a war. That streak would be later broken in 2001, but I will be later touching upon it. In 1992, Bosnia declared independence. And that's where people know the Yugoslav Wars. The Yugoslav Wars in Bosnia and Herzegovina were barbaristic. It was horror beyond belief. Of something a couple of months ago was quite a quiet republic, multi-ethnic, filled with people which knew each other, which were different religions, which would come from different places, people which in the same city had a mosque, a cathedral, and an Orthodox church, all in the same neighborhood, together with even a Jewish temple. They fought to the bitter end. And that war left scars in that place till this day. And it's quite the complex topic. So I won't be diving headfirst into that one, because the Bosnian War, the Croatian War, needs their own videos personally. But I'm here to briefly give you an explanation of these situations. And that war lasted from 1991 in Croatia, 1992 in Bosnia, and ended in 1995 with the massacres that happened in Srebrenica, in Tuzla, in Sarajevo, in Mostar, and all other places. To the point where, when the war concluded, 300,000 Serbs were displaced from Croatia, and 2 million people, generally from all places of the Yugoslav wars, were displaced. Outside of Yugoslavia, within Yugoslavia and all the such, their borders were carved, and Bosnia was mutilated. Politically, economically, that country was divided. 2 entities, 3 main peoples, 3 different languages, 3 different trains of thought. It is divided to this day with 3 different presidents. There is no way of this nation to theoretically coexist with others. It's not a nation which is independent by any means possible. It is a nation which is completely dependent towards the West, towards the EU. Without those establishments, without those funds, without those who impose upon them proper law, that nation would never exist. There is no law, there is no proper foundations. It is divided in so many ways. It is tragic to see personally. After that, when the Dayton Accords arrived, you have the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999. It happened because Milosevic ordered the extradition of the Albanians of Kosovo, and the bombing illegally commenced, bombing Belgrade, Niš, Novi Pazar, and all the such. Many buildings collapsed, many civilians, hospitals, electrical centers, waters, and all the such. Total war crimes, absolute war crimes on the Yugoslav people. Well, the Serbian people at this point. And they had to secede towards the NATO military organization. But that isn't the end of the Yugoslav wars. 2 years after that, after peace was settled in Kosovo, another war down south, which is known as the Forgotten War, in 2001, started in Macedonia, or as we know it today, the Republic of North Macedonia. It was between the remnants of the Uchaka and also the Macedonian military. It wasn't quite as fanatic, it wasn't quite as dangerous as the previous wars, and not as dangerous as even the Kosovo wars. But nonetheless, it did still happen. It was quite contradictory, as some people deny the reason for the war, as they say that there was political implications that Albanians are not allowed to speak or teach their own language within Macedonia, and Macedonians declined that there was no such policy, while Albanians say that yes, there were, and all the such. People are arguing with each other, but that conflict was thankfully quite short, and it didn't let as big of an impact as the others. So, then in 2006, firstly Yugoslavia was renamed into the state of Serbia and Montenegro. In 2006, Montenegro left the Union state, creating its own nation. Thankfully, it also didn't have a war, but it had political turmoil, which I will be discussing later on. Serbia was left by itself, and in 2008, officially Kosovo declared independence, which it's debatable if you could consider it independent or not, depending on which country you exist in or live in. Your state either recognizes or doesn't recognize it. Nonetheless, that would conclude the death and wars of Yugoslavia. Thank you for watching. Next time we will be talking about, part 5, the Yugoslav republics in of itself. Individual, we'll be talking about them. We'll start from Slovenia, we'll be ending in Macedonia. We'll be seeing where they ended up after the war and how they could have either improved or how we could improve it if we could join together and probably build a better future for our own children and what we could learn from the past. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share this video. This has been Omesh. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Se vidimo. Ciao.